Charlie Christian. He was born in 1916, died in 1942. He was 25 years old, very young, way too young. He died of tuberculosis, which was quite common back then, especially amongst African American men. In 1934, he was a bassist for the Alfonso Trent Band and was touring and was making a living, and apparently quite a good bass player. In 1937, he was witness to one of the first electric guitar recordings and immediately fell in love with it. He was known for playing a Gibson ES 150, and it's still quite a popular guitar. Now, later models are a lot more popular. I believe it's the 185, if I'm not mistaken. And that's because, just better standards. The pickup that Charlie used wasn't great, and I mean, remember, things weren't potted back then. Pickups weren't potted. It was a lot of feedback, noise, whatnot. But he played a 15-watt amplifier, later an 18-watt, if I'm not mistaken, and was still able to be heard loud and clear above everyone else because the rhythm player was acoustic usually, and if there was a rhythm guitar player, and no one else was electrified. So in 1939, Mary Osborne. Now check out Mary Osborne as a guitar player. You want to talk about a chick who can play guitar. Wow, man. Wow. She's like Les Paul standard, this woman. Check her out on YouTube. Really something. She sees Charlie for the first time and sets up an audition with the Benny Goodman Sextet. So basically, I've taken a lot of licks from a song called Flying Home, and which I really liked. And it's, while there are some jazz and chromatic licks to this, essentially a lot of this is major pentatonic type stuff. Um, but, with some twists and a lot of blue notes, it still has to be bluesy because it is jazz. So originally I believe it's an E flat, so I decided I was going to do it and just drop it into D. Now I didn't copy note for note, and I have some of my own playing in here as I play as a jazz guitar player when in situations when I do. But for the most part, I'm using a lot of Charlie's phrasing or similar phrasing. So we're starting off in D. So essentially we're just so. And very swing, very jazz, you can dance to this stuff. Also notice I didn't put in any drums. A lot of times Benny Goodman's recordings that which I've noticed, is that there were no drums. Or there was very little percussion. Occasionally they'd have a bass drum or the odd snare or a cymbal here and there. It was an orchestra, essentially, back then. Later on there were some drum recordings, of course. But I believe in the early years there weren't. So I just left the drums out of there. I just put in bass, the acoustic guitar, and lead guitar. So we're still in D, of course. And we'll go, basically I went, and then F to G, and then an arpeggio, basically spelling out the D major chord with the blue note, using the F, using the minor third. So. Then I basically go because the bass is comping out essentially a line. The bass is going. So we can get away with the F and the B, which are both related to D, but also G7. There's a lot you can do when a bass player, when you've got just a basic rhythm section, even though it is jazzy, when you've got that basic rhythm section, there's a lot you can do with it. So I basically just went, and then just an arpeggio, D major arpeggio, chromatic, then A, C, B, then I slide down, F sharp A, slide from the C, which is the 7th, in the D, and on the B. And then I just improvise in C. Now we're moving down to C, so the actual progression goes down from D to C. And the Charlie was starting to introduce octaves. You know, Wes Montgomery played them later on. It was a big staple in his playing. But it was Charlie Christian who introduced us to that with electric guitar. Although on electric guitar, I believe Django Reinhardt used octaves as well because he only had two good fingers to play with. So just an arpeggio with a C, you mute the B string. And then I just did something similar too. Now notice it jumps. If this is swing, it's swing jazz. Very, very close to bebop. They're almost one and the same. But it swings, right? Almost a triplet feel. Everything swings. Then I improvise a little bit up here. The outro, F7, G7 to the D7. Songs to check out by Charlie Christian: Sweet Georgia Brown, Rose Room, Tea for Two, Flying Home. There are many others. Thank you, Charlie, for what you gave us. Thank you so much. Rest in peace, brother. I hope you guys enjoyed this. GuitarChopsFree.com, Twitter, GuitarChopsFree.com, Facebook, GuitarChopsFree.com, and Patreon, GuitarChopsFree.com. I'd like to get a better video camera. If you'd like to help me out with that, there's a donation button on my website. Maybe I'll put a link to it in the video description at YouTube. Ciao, thanks for listening, and all the best.